صل على نبيك دائما في هذه الدنيا وبعث ثاني. يا رب صل على نبيك دائما في هذه الدنيا وبعث ثاني.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, dear viewer of MTA Africa. Welcome again to another episode of the program Islam, the Light to Africa, coming to you from Amri Abeid Studios, Tanzania. In this program, we are discussing the challenges facing the African societies, the way these challenges affect them, and the Islamic injunction on the way the Africans can deal with these challenges. In today's session, we will discuss about poverty as a challenge affecting the African societies. With me in the studio today to discuss this challenge, I have two panelists who are Mzee Mubiru Sahib, Assalamu alaikum, and next to him is Sheikh Shaban Athmanishunda Sahib, Assalamu alaikum. Our subject of today is poverty. If one happens to open the radio or surf into the internet or watching any news outlet about Africa, one of the things he'll find out is about poverty in Africa. Can you tell us why is Africa associated with poverty?
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Poverty is an agenda of those who do not want us to develop. Poverty is a project because when we are poor, they smile. When there is civil war in any part of Africa, they'll be happy because they will be selling their arms. If there is anything that goes wrong here, they will be happy. So the poverty of Africa has been created by the colonialists. When you look at Africa, it is very strange indeed. One English poet once said, "Water, water everywhere, not a drop to drink." Can you imagine? There is water everywhere, but not a drop. Africa is a very, very rich continent. The richest continent, perhaps. But the people are very poor. What is the reason? The reason is that our poverty is something that has been created because all our resources, they are squandered, they are taken away. Disorder is created so that they can be able to sell their arms. So our poverty is a project created by these people so that we go on being beggars. Can you imagine? We are the ones who produce cotton in the world, but we have to put on second-hand clothes. Why? That is very important indeed, because kill their industries and then bring in second-hand clothes. So everything that is done by these people, tell these people to cultivate cotton, but they should bring they should take the cotton to London, New York. They cannot allow us to have our industries. So this is a strategy. We should be poor so that they can be rich.
Thank you.
If I want to ask him, so when you are explaining this matter, I understood that you are saying that Africa as a continent is not poor.
Exactly.
But Africans, because of some ways or some strategy of above, were made poor.
Yes.
Okay. Because I know also have some friends who came in Tanzania or any countries of Africa. They were speaking loudly that we knew that Africa there is not even a single road because of what they are telling us about Africa. They knew even we don't have a very nice city organized like Nairobi or Dar es Salaam. they knew that Africa is just, you are going to the jungle. Yes, you are going to face animals and monkeys there. So,
Sheikh, perhaps let me elaborate. When we examine poverty in Africa, we must take an historical journey.
yes.
For example, look at slave trade in Africa. They took our people, they created disorder, they created inferiority complex.
Yes.
And you know too well that population is very important in terms of development.
Yes.
So they took our people, but they created inferiority complex. After that, you had colonialism. With colonialism, our land was taken away, there was forced labor, and the land was taken, as I've said, and so on. And we had to produce for them. Now, all this, but there is another thing today. It is called neo-colonialism. Now, neo-colonialism is when people are free because of the national flag. But everything goes to their people. So our poverty, as I have said, is a creation of those who used to govern Africa.
Okay, we can say that poverty in Africa is just a label, but we are not poor.
Thank you very much. So someone is using to state that it is a very poor continent. Maybe they have their own agendas to make sure that maybe they get money from their government saying that we are going to help them. So it's a project for them as well. They call non-governmental organizations,
yes,
different organizations.
Yes.
Okay. Now, let us watch a short documentary that has been prepared talking about poverty in Africa, and we'll be back here to discuss more about this challenge.
Poverty in Africa is the lack of provision to satisfy the basic human needs of certain people in Africa. African nations typically fall toward the bottom of any list measuring small-size economic activity, such as income per capita or GDP per capita. Despite a wealth of natural resources, in 2009, 22 of 24 nations identified as having low human development. On the United Nations Human Development Index, were in sub-Saharan Africa. In 2006, 34 of the 50 nations on the UN list of least developed countries are also in Africa, despite the availability of vast amount of resources to change the course of development if well exploited. According to the World Bank, the international poverty line refers to those who have less than $1.25 a day to live, and thus live on the very edge of existence. The United Nations Development Programme, UNDP, sets various indicators in its Human Development Index to measure poverty in Africa and all other countries in the world. This includes life expectancy at birth, average school attendance period, expected school attendance period, as well as per capita income. As the indicators show, education is closely linked to poverty by the United Nations because those who cannot read and write have little chance of getting a skilled job and build their livelihood. Many factors can be the causative agents of poverty in Africa, but it is strongly claimed that corruption and bad governance are the pathfinders for many other factors. Let us now briefly see some facts and figures concerning poverty in Africa as per SOS Children's Villages. Poverty has stagnated the development of African countries, but worse enough, it is threatening to continue for a long time as children's health and education are very much affected. Some serious measures are to be taken if we want to steer away from poverty and take another road to swift development.
Welcome back to our discussion. We have been watching a short documentary talking about poverty. The program is the Islam Light to Africa. what is the light of Islam to this problem of poverty as in Africa? Sheshunda.
Yes, we can see that Africa, even the world, Islam unites the world, but now we are talking in Africa.
Yes.
Africa also we can measure in this state that Africa is a continent which minority have everything and the majority have nothing. And we can, in this content, we can understand that in the Quran, Allah Almighty says that huwa alladhi khalaqa lakum ma fil ardi jami'a. It can mean true meaning that Allah is the one who created everything in this world. That all these properties is for Allah. Allah is the one who owning all these natural resources and everything which is here. And second translation is that He the one created these all things for everybody. So all national resources and all which we have, all wealth, we have to share to each other. So Islam put on the system of circulation, wealth circulation among the societies and all people. So if you are rich, there is portion from your wealth for other people as well, in form of zakat. That everything which you are having, there is a portion for another, for somebody. So Islam doesn't allow somebody to gather all resources together, all means together, all money for himself. He has to circulate all these things to others. What we are seeing in history, that Islam and Muslims came to an era that nobody to give in the street, nobody to give in society. They started using those wealth and minerals to decorate mosques. So we can say that this can be one of system which can diminish poverty in Africa or any elsewhere in the world, that if we use this strategy, everybody who has something, he should know that there is a right for another one in that his possession. So this one can help a lot to develop and to diminish poverty anywhere in the world, and also especially in Africa.
Yes, thank you very much. I have noted two things from your elaboration. That first, Islam teaches about monetary contribution, yes, but as well, Islam does not allow one to accumulate a lot of wealth for himself. But from our documentary, there was two things I noted as well, that education and poverty, they're just like relatives. They are two things that go hand by hand. No education, then there is a threat of poverty. And there is a case, another point about corruption and bad governance. All these are about people, performance of people, giving the contribution, not accumulating wealth to themselves, providing education, as well as good governance, and not engage themselves into corruption. What do we advise the African leaders or those who have been entrusted with offices? What are we advising them to do in order to avoid this problem of poverty, or to relieve it of the people they lead?
It is imperative to understand that when you examine nations that have developed, let us take the example of People's Republic of China. It was born in 1949, recently. But see the development it has made. The secret is one. You must have serious and committed leadership. When you have leaders who are committed, who have the pain, the agony of their people, then development definitely will come. The problem we are facing, Maulana has given the example of the Islam by then. Islam had leaders who had the pain, the agony. Someone was thinking that Allah is going to ask me of what I have done. So that is very important. We must have leaders who are committed to the development of their people. And they should not sleep unless they are certain that someone has taken a piece of bread. Now, that is the only way that we can be. Because it is true that our problem in the world is not poverty. Our problem in the world is the question of distributing what we have. If we can be able to distribute what we have, this question of poverty can be a question of history.
Also, he reminded me when he says that Islam had strong leaders in a community. I have an example of Hadrat Harun Rashid, was one of caliphate in a certain era in Islam. It said that he saw the clouds passing on his city on top of him, and he told the crowd that go anywhere and reign there, but your result will come to me and share to all people. So that is it. If I have many maize, or I've cultivated many crops, I have to share to others. And if leaders will understand this system, it will be useful to eliminate and diminish this poverty, and this matter will be finished for a long time.
Thank you very much, Sheikh Saib, for your input. But we have a phone call from Maulana Muhammad Maurice Kamara from Sierra Leone, who wants to put his inputs in this subject of poverty. So let's go and listen to Maulana Sahib.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. As far as the issue of poverty in Africa is concerned, if we follow the teachings of Islam, it can be diminished. The Prophet of Islam sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not let the land lay unattended. He ordered, whoever has land, let them plant it. If they cannot plant it themselves, then their brother should plant it. All those companions who acted upon this advice of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam did very well in their life, and they become successful people in the society. Once the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was asked, which occupation is the best? He answered, working with one's hands or buying and selling, provided it is free from trickery and fraud. He advised again that we should seek sustenance from the hidden treasures of the earth. He discouraged begging, but rather he encouraged people to do work with their own hands, as he stated that Allah the Almighty is gracious to him who earned his living by his own labor, and whoever has food for the day, it is prohibited for him to beg. Instead, he advised the poor people to go to the bush in search of wood and bring them to the town and sell. That will be their own source of income. All those companions who acted upon this advice of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam become successful people in the society, and become rich people as well. The other thing about Africa is that we should stop depending upon others and begging from them, as begging has been discouraged by the Holy Prophet of Islam sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We should stop wasting resources on traditional festivals and societies which are un-Islamic customs. The other thing that is stopping Africa to progress is corruption. So we need to stop corruption in Africa. We need to improve in our local medicines, which we normally call the herbal medicines. We should do business as well, because that one too has been recommended by the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We should have sympathy for our fellow human beings in the society. So when we follow these guidelines given by the Holy Prophet of Islam sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I personally believe that poverty will diminish in Africa, inshallah.
Welcome back. We have been on a call from Maulana Mohammed Maurice Kamara from Sierra Leone, who has given us his input on the subject today. Thank you very much, Maulana. But let's get back to our discussion. Previously, we talked about the African leaders. What should they do? Now, we as Ahmads, what should we do? What are we doing? We have this knowledge. What are we doing to make sure that we eliminate or we assist in the elimination of this problem from the African society? Shashunda sir.
Okay, firstly, I have to recognize efforts and also endeavors which non-government organizations are doing in illuminating or helping some African society in many aspects to eliminate this problem, because poverty is a big problem and huge also for Africans. And we as Ahmadis and as true Muslims, we are having many to do, and we are doing many. Because we know that everything which we have, Allah asks us to share or give portion of it to others. As Quran commands us, وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ, that for anything which we gave to them, they are giving out of it. So Islam Ahmadiyya has its non-organization, non-government organizations as Humanity First is doing great in African continent. They are drilling wells for water, and also they are building schools, and also they are giving equipment to the hospitals, and also they are building hospitals in parts of Africa. And also I have witnesses in Ghana, it's doing very wonders, and also here in Tanzania we're having one school and which is running under this organization. And also we're having IAAE, which Huzur Anwar Ayyadahullah Ta'ala bin Nasir Aziz specially instructed them that no African place which will be in darkness, so they should provide light and should provide water. Though it is one drop to the sea, this effort, but also it's having very huge effect, because we are doing it sincerely with a heartful, so that we are helping our own human being, our fellow human being.
Thank you very, very much, Shunda Sahib. Perhaps you want to put an addition to that.
The holy founder of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat, Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad alayhi salam, has given one important secret. He says all the problems in the world can only be solved through the reading and following the teachings of the Holy Quran. It is only in the Holy Quran that all these problems that you see in the world can be eliminated. For example, the question of we Africans being beggars, going from one corner to another, begging and so on. Begging is not allowed. But then, even when they give us something, it is through interest. And, you know, it's a very big problem, because they give you 10,000 today, but you have to pay them how much tomorrow? Quite a lot. So through that way, Africa cannot develop. The only best way we can be able to develop is to follow all that is said in the Holy Quran, because that is the only way we can be able to develop.
Thank you very much, Mzee Mubiru Sahib, for winding up our discussion of today. We have run out of time, but I should thank you very much for your inputs in our subject of today about the challenge of poverty. But if there is one thing I have to put stress or to put emphasis on, is that as Africans, we are not poor in terms of resources, but the problems comes from the distribution of the benefits that comes out of those resources. So the leaders should think twice about their actions, should think twice about corruption, and they should be committed, very much committed into making sure that they utilize these resources to make the development for their countries or nations. Until next time, when we will discuss another challenge facing the African community. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum assalam.
okoa rahmatul alamin ya rabbi salli ala nabika daiman fi hadhihi dunya wa ba'sin thani ya rabbi salli ala nabika daiman في هذه الدنيا وباسم ثاني